must be muted. I think I'm muted. I am muted. Oh, there I go. Everybody, Two Goalies, One Mic, episode 216. Brought to you, of course, by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, get over to Fatty Beer. Let them know we sent you. Great vibes, live music, entertainment at all their locations. You can't go wrong when you get over to Fatty Beer. Just again, try their food menu. Their chicken sandwich is incredible. And my favorite beer on the menu is easily the F Yeah Mango Wheat. So make sure you get over there. Shout out to Extreme Discount Mattress, Western New York's finest edition selection for mattresses and adjustable beds, featuring the cool gel memory foam, two-sided mattresses, Tele latex, organic mattress, Chatham Wells, and Scott and Living. And even at all for 1/3 to half the supposed sale prices anywhere. So stop in any of their 7 locations across Western New York and check out their website, which is extrememattress.com. That is extreme with an X. If you're looking for even more savings, check out their closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga. With to 80% off their already low prices, save a fortune on one-of-a-kinds, closeouts, and floor samples. You get a quality mattress for literally pennies on the dollar. Extreme Discount Mattress. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. And if you mention you're a fan of Two Goalies, One Mic, you do get a free mattress protector with any purchase of a mattress. And I can tell you right now, I bought a mattress from Extreme Discount Mattress, got a smoking deal, and I've never slept better. And of course, shout out to our sponsors at Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York, located at 5087 Broadway, Suite 100 in Depew, New York, right next to Catalyst Fitness. 5-star staff, 5-star facility. They're currently helping me get back on the ice right now. I'm doing some have had a couple appointments with Alex Peters over there, one of the owners and operators of Impulse Physical Therapy. And I'm hoping by the end of it, I'll be able to play hockey again. I'm sure most of you know I had a pretty severe leg injury last year, and it's been a long road to recovery, but I'm slowly but surely getting there, I hope. So make sure you check them out. 5087 Broadway, Suite 100 in Depew, New York. Hurls, it's been a minute since we've done an episode. Obviously, many of you know or you don't know when a game night falls on a Tuesday, we don't do an episode of Two Goalies on Mic. We just do the post game. I did not, however, get a chance to do a post game last night. I didn't get home from the game until 11 p.m. We're going to cover that here right now. Hurls, how's it going? And your thoughts on last night's game?
It's good. I saw most of it. I didn't see the end. I had to play in a game myself last night. But, yeah, it was a tough one. I think a bit of a reality check against a really experienced group, obviously, in the Florida Panthers. 2 straight Stanley Cup championships, obviously missing 3 of their best players in Barkov, Matthew Tkachuk, and Brad Marchand. But the DNA of the team is still there, and the way that they like to play, being very hard-nosed, competitive in the forecheck and along the walls, and taking advantage of opportunities when they get them, is obviously still there. So I think it was a bit of a measuring stick, and I'm at least pleased that the Sabres didn't completely wilt. But I do think that heading into these next 3 games against the Philadelphia Flyers, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Minnesota Wild, I think they need to get back to what they did a little bit more during that 13 out of 14 stretch than they did last night. We saw some of the same habits. We've seen it on the power play for most of the season, but particularly last night, that have come to haunt them a little bit. So a bit of a reality check, but not the worst game in the world. And they can get it back very, very easily the next few nights.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is they were missing Marchand, they were missing Tkachuk, they were missing Barkov. We already knew going into the season they're missing Barkov. But that's still the defending Stanley Cup champions. You lost by 1 goal. It wasn't your best night, that's for sure. You're not gonna, have 10-game winning streaks. 10 win 10, lose 1. It's not going to be like that. This is the NHL. These are NHL teams you're playing. Even without those 3 players, that's still a very good hockey team. I think you could have probably, even though in my opinion you were outplayed. Again, I was there. There were a lot of things you didn't do right that you have been doing pretty consistently over the last stretch of 14 games. But I think if you get a couple more saves from Colton Ellis, in my opinion, and again, I'm not blaming him, but I was not a fan of the way he played last night. I thought he was very erratic. His rebound control was pretty chaotic. And I think I look at the second and third goals, and I think those are saves you have to have. You got to be able to cover the puck. And there were multiple times, Hurls, where he had issues covering the puck in front of him, like multiple times.
Yeah,
So
I think
I'm not
that's
blaming him, but I think that if maybe you get a save, it's a different story, even though you were outplayed.
a lot of his starts this season. I think he's kind of battled, and he's made a lot of really good saves. Yeah. Well, no, battled in a way, I think both good and bad, right? I think he does whatever he possibly can to get in front of the puck, whether it's a scramble in front of the net or a cross ice type play. I think that's paramount to his game. He's not necessarily the most technically sound goalie, but he does what he needs to do to make saves. And then last night, as an example, as you mentioned, of where it can kind of come back to bite you. And I think it definitely did in 2 or 3 of those goals last night, where you'd like a rebound, you would like a little bit more control and poise within the net. And it's definitely something that the lack of experience, I think, comes in play. And I definitely think that's something they'll have to consider. And I'm sure we'll get into it when they have to figure out what they're going to do with this 3 goalie rotation. In my opinion, I think especially the way UPL has played in the past month, I think it's a pretty clear choice that once line is healthy, which may be tomorrow or Thursday or even as soon or as late as this weekend. But I think it's got to be line and UPL moving forward. As great as Colton Ellis has been and as good of a prospect as he is, I do believe both Alex Line and UPL give them the best chance to succeed at the moment.
And people, I mean, I'll even go jump on this bandwagon. I've been speculating maybe he got the start last night because you can look at UPL's numbers versus Florida; they haven't been great. Maybe they were trying to showcase the guy last night for a trade. And we speculated about Krebs being on the first line.
I could see that for sure. I think they've maybe done that in a variety of situations this year, even with certain UPL starts. I think Jarmo is definitely, especially in the past month, has definitely been on the phone with a lot of probably goalie needy teams, given that once Lyon gets back, we've got 3 capable NHL goalies for the most part. I don't know. I do think that everybody and their mother knows that they can't continue along this 3 goalie path. And while it was nice, especially with the Lyon injury, to have that insurance, it's about running its course, especially when Lyon comes back. So yeah, that's the way I think it'll go at the moment. And hopefully they'll be able to either package him or figure something out where they are able to not let him walk for nothing.
Yeah. I do want to touch on this one too. Still think Austin should have played yesterday, but that's just my opinion from Mike here. I agree. I didn't understand that call to sit Austin last night. I know that who did you have come they played Josh Doon. That's right. Last night. Yeah, he got into a fight and he handled himself pretty well. And he's an exciting player to watch as a fan. He brings some excitement, with the style of play he makes. But I definitely did not understand sitting Austin last night over some other players on this team that you could have made a case for. I know you weren't going to probably sit Jack Quinn. He just scored 2 goals, but Austin just gives you more, in my opinion, from game to game. He's not sporadic. He gives you the same effort in the same game every single time, and you very rarely complain about him.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it shows it as well as you could possibly imagine, given that you look at the line rushes today, and Austin is on a line with Josh Norris and Josh Doan. So that probably speaks pretty loudly that they value him very highly as a player, that they immediately put him on the second line the game after they sit him. I think one of the positive things to come out of the practice today, and almost universal praise for Lindy for what those line rushes were. I think
they looked fantastic today. I loved
Yeah, Tage centering Benson and Tuck, Norris centering Doan and Ostland. I think it was McLeod centering Zucker and Quinn, and then it was Mallinston with Krebs and Greenway. People, it was probably as you know, the day to day of the NHL season happens. Like, people get upset about the lines, and I think people have often got upset with the way that Lindy manages his lines. He tends to make a lot of changes, especially in season. But today's response to those line rushes was as good as I've ever seen.
Yep. And I wouldn't even go as far as I want to preemptively say I have no problem with Benson being on the first line. However, I love to see what Ostling can do in that spot too, because he has, you know what I mean? Because I look at Benson and I see, can he fit on that top line? Absolutely. And can he succeed at top? Absolutely. But that's the great thing about him, is he can literally play in any position up and down your lineup. And I'd like to see Ostland maybe seeing how he performs on the second line with Norris and was a Tuck. Like, if he performs well, maybe see if he could slide into that spot of the top line. I don't know. I think he offers you more potential scoring touch in that spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, and maybe they played Josh June last night just because you figure going up against the Florida Panthers, a bit of a tougher team, of a bigger team. They thought they could replace some of that a little bit. I don't necessarily love that thinking, because I think Ostland has largely just been really good, and you don't take good players out of the lineup. But yeah, I don't think they'll do that again. And I really do believe that Ostland, Norris, and Doan line could be really good. It's a diversification of a lot of different skill sets, just generally a lot of skill, but also hard work in Josh Doan, playmaking ability, Noah Ostland. I just love the way that he constantly skates with his head up. I think I've seen it.
He sees the ice really well.
He sees the ice really well, and you can just tell how well he was coached growing up, in the way that he's very, very hyper aware of what's around him and seeing in the game a couple steps ahead. So I've loved his game, obviously, and then Norris has largely been really good too. So
yeah,
I think that line could be both really fun and really productive.
And I right here, we talked about Jack Quinn. Ryan Full brings up Jack Quinn needs to toughen up and stop playing so soft. Same goes with Power. I would say the Power didn't have a great game last night. Jack Quinn, I agree with that. Very soft on pucks. Unless he has open ice and can get a good look at the net, like, I don't know, man. He needs to be stronger on the puck. He needs to be stronger on the boards. And at this point right now, like, when we're going to talk about like Jarmo making moves. He made a move today to improve his scouting staff. But what was it with Stacy?
Stacy Roast.
Yeah. You know, he could be a guy that might be on the chopping block and there's another roster freeze heading into the Olympics. Like, that is a guy that could be on the chopping block. So I agree with Ryan there too.
Yeah. And I was talking with my friends about it last night. I just don't know how much of an asset Jack Quinn really is at this point. I think he can produce in the right situation, but we see, like this comment, we see it enough in the offensive zone where he very, very often gets pushed off a puck, very often loses possession in the offensive zone, even, which you kind of like to see him carrying it into the offensive zone with possession, but he's not hard enough on his stick, not tough enough that he gets pushed off. And I think it was mentioned in the offseason that he was working on his strength, that he was way bigger than he was.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I would say Anaheim on Saturday. I know he scored those 2 goals, but I think just generally he was playing much better, and he was moving more fluidly, and he was getting to the right areas. But I think more often than not, he's been a turnover machine, especially in the offensive zone. And I haven't really noticed him in the defensive zone on his wing getting the puck out. And the numbers support it. He's not necessarily a real analytical darling by any means.
No,
compared to some of the other guys on the team.
One trick pony right now in his career. That's he's good at one thing.
And and this is where the eye test meets the number test. Like, everybody loves the way Josh Doan plays and loves the way that he plays the game, and the numbers support it. Same way with Zach Benson. So Jack Quinn is the exact opposite. And I think he needs to find a role, or at least he needs to get tougher on the puck to support those games where he does get 2 goals or 1 goal and 2 assists, because his numbers aren't horrible this season, which I was at least encouraged to see. Let me confirm exactly what it is at the moment. So he has this season 9 goals and 15 assists, 24 points in 44 games. And given the way that people talk about him, I would think that it would be way less, right? Like, he hasn't had the best year, and for him to have 24 points in 44 games, he's on pace for, you basically double that, for about 45, 50 points this season, which is not amazing, but it's also not horrible in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, I think his mistakes are highlighted because I think people have really high expectations for him. And he has a lot of really bad games and some good games. So I think we just need generally more consistency.
Yep. I agree. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, for me, like you said, he's not much of an asset, but I think that if you're, it depends on the team you're targeting. Utah would be a great team to target because they're, we had him on the podcast, their head coach. Can't remember his name, but their head coach coached him in the OHL and was very high on him. We had him on the podcast, and he spoke very highly about both Jack Quinn and Marco Rossi. And I think maybe if you target a team like Utah, you've already done business with them once. Maybe it's for picks, and then you turn those picks into something else later.
Andre
Torini, yes, Andre Torini,
and he's our number one, already a willing trade partner given the Peterka trade. And speaking of which, that Quinn and Peterka had success together, and they were very, very close. Very, very close in their time in Buffalo and in Rochester. So yeah, I mean, and especially not in conference, maybe a change of scenery would be good for him. Different type of team, different system could be better, especially with a coach that he's played with. Yeah, I would absolutely be down for that. I just don't know what we would get back that would make us better this season. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I think. It's probably more of like a get picks back, maybe like a bottom 6 guy, but like you turn those picks into something else. And like maybe Torini and that Utah's willing to overpay a little bit, like we did on his contract, for Jack Quinn, because Torini knows what he's capable of. And I gotta Ryan's comment. I know Ryan. Me and him are very good friends. Me, Ryan, and Antonio, we all played high school hockey together. Went to last night's game and had a blast. It's for Hurls. First time you actually potentially might have played against these guys. You were with City Honors, correct?
Yeah.
You probably played against these guys growing up. Maybe they were seniors when you were a freshman. But I had a blast getting there. Those guys. We went out kind of got together to have a good time, but also in memory of our buddy I mentioned a previous show, Joe Gorski, a guy we played with who passed away due to complications from diabetes, and was a really good time getting out there, hanging out with those guys last night. I know they're watching right now. Shout out to them, and we did a shot last night of Fireball for Joey, and I don't drink. I don't drink at all. I guess Joey's shot of choice was Ruppelmans, and unfortunately the Odd Club did not have Ruppelmans, so we did Fireball. And I don't know anyway, it hit my stomach, and honest to God, Hurls, I felt sick the rest of the night after one shot.
Yeah, no, I've never had Ruppelmans or Fireball. I wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah, $50 for.
I'm just kidding. I've had many shots of Ruppelmans and Fireball.
Yeah. $50 for 3 shots. By the way,
that'll do it. They better have been big.
No, there's like that in a plastic cup, like that much.
Oh, come on.
But you know what? It was for Joey, and he was one of the hardest hitting defensemen I ever played with. This guy used to give people the puck so we could hit him. We played Grand Island in playoffs my senior year, and we were at the funeral. I joked about this afterwards. Like, I physically watched this guy give the puck to a Grand Island player that he didn't like. We were up by 3 goals. It was a few minutes left, just so we could blow him up, popped his helmet off, the whole 9 yards. And then the next year I went to ECC to play some junior college hockey, and a guy who knew I was from Depew goes, "Hey, are you played for Depew? Did you play with Joe Gorski?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh yeah, he broke my collarbone." There's the type of guy Joe was, but also type of guy give you, help you with anything, give you a shirt off his back if you ever needed it. And, it was nice to get out and, go to a game for Joe. So just want to give both him, Antonio and Ryan a shout out tonight because I had a blast. It was a good time. So, but moving on, Jarmo did make a move today, improving his staff. Your thoughts on that? He came from the Tampa Bay organization, helped lead them to 2 cups, via scouting. Played for Detroit and Minnesota, I believe, but has an extensive player development, assistant GM in the AHL experience with Syracuse, a team that Rochester plays a lot. So there's some familiarity there. Your thoughts on the move, Hurls?
I mean, just reading the resume, the Lightning made the playoffs in 11 of 12 seasons during Rose's tenure as director of player development. When you're director of player development and then the team wins a Stanley Cup 7 years into your tenure, you have a direct responsibility for a good amount of that roster, and eventually being the assistant general manager of the Syracuse Crunch, who for a while were one of the best teams in the AHL. I know that very, very well. I used to cover the Crunch when I went to Syracuse. I actually, in one of my assignments while I was in college, covered one of Nikita Kucherov's games when he was playing for the Syracuse Crunch, and he was all the rage, obviously, this big prospect that they brought over from Russia. I think he had 4 points on the power play that night, and I was able to go down into the locker room and interview Kucherov after the game. Turns out he becomes one of the greatest players of this generation, which is really cool to look back on. But I'm sure Stacey had some part in bringing Nikita Kucherov to the Lightning organization. So combined with Mark Bergevin and Josh Flynn, it's just another experienced member that Jarmo Kekalainen has brought to the Sabres front office in terms of NHL experience, in terms of pedigree, being around the game. This is exactly what we asked for. Obviously, it's not directly the president of hockey operations, but Jarmo easily could have been a director of president of hockey operations. Probably the same with Mark Bergevin, and obviously he has the familiarity and experience with Josh Flynn, being the contract whiz that he is. So I feel way better about the front office of the Sabres than I did a month ago. I think everybody, if you put a poll out right now, I think that would be as close to 100% as you could possibly get. And I think it only means good things for the organization moving forward. Obviously, I don't know everything about this guy and exactly what his type of player he looks for or that type of thing specifically, but just looking at the resume and everything that he's accomplished in the league, I think it can only be a good thing, and it will really help the team moving forward.
I agree. And that's something, like you said, like that department has been lacking, right? A strong scouting department. I know there's a lot of, Jerry Fortin is a guy that's been there for a long time. And I for us all I know, like what's your opinion of Jerry Fortin? Like, would you say he did a good job at what he does? Like, given the smaller scouting department and one of the smallest in the league?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, right? Like, I think, especially in the past 10 years, of course, they had a lot of opportunities. A lot of darts were thrown at the wall with the Sabres organization in terms of draft picks, especially high-end draft picks. And I think some have worked out, some haven't. And I think we've seen that firsthand. So I don't think I'm in any position to say whether or not he was a good scout or a good director of that department. But I think he probably did the best job that he could have, and it was time. What's that?
With what he had, yeah.
Yeah, did the best job that he could have, and time for a change, right? Like time to figure something new out and move on in a new regime, which is what happens in the business of sports. Look at Mike Tomlin. He in 19 seasons as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, he never had a losing record, but they had 7 straight playoff losses. And he himself today, whether that's true or not, it's at least the way that was presented to the media, he stepped down because I think they knew that they were in purgatory, right? The Sabres haven't necessarily even been in purgatory. The Sabres have been in the lower level of the NHL for basically 14, 15 plus years, and have had so many opportunities at the top of the draft. They've been through multiple different regimes, multiple different rebuilds, and nothing has worked. So you need to try something different. And I'm happy that Terry finally realized and finally pulled the plug on whatever was happening with Kevin Adams in that scouting department and tried something new. And what we have now really seems to be a respected front office with experience and pedigree.
It's
taking us into this new generation.
It's been a while since we could say that too, like additions to the scouting department, two assistant GMs essentially, from with Bergevin, and who was the other guy? I'm sorry.
Josh Flynn.
Essentially be the same thing. Like he is building a staff and a management department that players on the league will respect without a doubt. Regardless what you think of the team, they will respect that front office and know that they mean business. And I think that's a huge, huge deal. And listen, like maybe it helps you score a Panarin, or, Jarmo, like you said, he makes moves, in the front office. I mean, could we see maybe a big splash before the Olympics? Because I believe there is a roster freeze. Correct me if I'm wrong, before the Olympics. And if that's true, like now that he has his bearings underneath him, I mean, he has had his bearings underneath him probably for a while, like ever since he was hired. But like he knows what he wants. He knows what he wants to do. We know he's out there, having calls and having conversations. Maybe we get a Tuck signing, or maybe we get a big deal. You ever hear that clip from Doug Armstrong? What he said. Well, Pierre LeBrun said it on Overdrive, and he essentially said, without, this isn't verbatim, but that he hasn't bought into the team's performance in St. Louis, and that he's not going to make moves or not make moves just to see his team essentially get bounced in the first round. And that's apparently to Colorado. And that's essentially what is the narrative that he's been telling around the league. If I'm a player on St. Louis, get me the fuck out of there if that's what my GM thinks about us. Like, why am I playing then? If you're just going to bring us in here to lose, or you don't have faith in us in trying to make the playoffs, then why am I here?
Yeah, for sure. So, no, I agree with all that. And I think that, like I said, I feel as good about this as I felt in a while. And you may not feel the effects of these moves specifically for a couple of years, right? Like they're not necessarily going to affect the team this season unless, like you said, they are able to make a move before the Olympics or the deadline, which if they're really going for it this year, which it seems like there are at least rumors of that, I do think that it could make the team better in the next couple of months, which is, I think, is what we all want.
What would you give up for Jordan Kyrou or Rob Thomas, who that's his name's been floating around there? I know we talked about Panarin already and what we give up for Panarin, but like if you were to look at St. Louis, like, and at their roster, like those are huge pieces for them. It's probably going to demand a big return for St. Louis, younger players, right? So like, what if you're Jarmo Kekalainen, what would you give up for a top six center like Rob Thomas, or a guy like Jordan Kyrou, who's having a down year, but you know what he's capable of?
I think you at least start with offering this year's first round pick, right? I think for a while people have talked about how the Sabres don't need any more first round picks, which is not necessarily true because your organization can always use first round picks. But in this era of win now, which they're definitely in, especially given what's transpired in the past month and a half, I think that type of asset, which may, especially if the Sabres make the playoffs and it's in the mid to later half of the first round, that type of asset can be valuable to a team that's rebuilding, but not that valuable to a team like the Sabres. So I think you start with that, and then whichever prospect the team theoretically could be interested, whether that's Izak Rozin, Radim Merka. I would hope that Konsta Helenius would be off limits, but who knows? Because he might not have a spot on this team in the next couple of years, given how much talent they have and who they could bring in. So I think you have conversations about picks, prospects, and then guys on the team, obviously, like Jack Quinn, Jordan Greenway, even a guy like Peyton Krebs, potentially, guys that are in the lower half of the lineup that may be in a better situation elsewhere if you can bring in a guy, a more appreciable asset in the top six.
Yeah, and also, like, you talk about Jack Quinn, you talk about Peyton Krebs. Obviously, the first round pick will play into it, but like, how much do you value Rob Thomas?
I mean, he's essentially a point per game guy for the past 4 years. That's extreme.
Do you value him at like Owen Power?
It depends on the conversation, right? Because then you would be making one part of your team better while also taking away from another area of your team. Like Owen Power for the most of the season has been in your top 4 of your defensemen, right?
Mhm.
So like you need to value what you need the most. And maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I think they personally would want to, if they're trading Robert Thomas, I think they're going to want to get something back that both helps their forward group, both now and in the future, whether that's a prospect that's already been drafted, maybe 2 years away from their draft year, first round pick this year, or first round pick next year, whatever it may be. I would find it hard to manage that a Robert Thomas trade would be centering around Owen Power, if that makes sense. I just don't know how it would match up. But I think Robert Thomas is highly valuable. Jordan Kyrou is a very skilled player. Both of those guys could slot into your top 6, potentially your first power play unit. So
you instantly fix your center ice depth, making that.
And I mean, it's crazy. I think the center ice depth, especially with Tage at center, is pretty good right now. Like Ryan McLeod is a perfect third line center. Josh Norris is a very good second line center. Tage is obviously shown what he can do at a first line center. So yeah, like
maybe Tage moves to the wing, or maybe Rob Thomas moves to the wing.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say because like I don't necessarily think Ryan McLeod should be your fourth line center.
No.
By any means. So I think that would give you a luxury in a sense. But a wing like Jordan Kyrou, obviously a wing like Artemi Panarin, these are highly skilled players that have consistently produced in the league for a long time. That, let's say it's a guy like Alex Tuch that they want. If you're not close to signing Alex Tuch and those two sides are too far apart and you have a chance to re-sign one of these guys,
and that's a huge trade chip.
Yeah.
That's a huge trade chip.
Yeah. If Tuch has a better chance to re-sign elsewhere or be a rental for a team and then go to the unrestricted free agent market this summer, I think that might have to be something you consider.
And here's another thing too, like they did like Colton Ellis. They didn't want to waive him. Maybe he's part of the deal going back. You know what I mean? Maybe that's where you figure out your 3 goalie tandem, like we said before, which we'll get to. I just want to throw it back to our sponsors again. Thank you again to Fatty Beer Company, Western York's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western York locations. If you need a beer, give it a Fatty Beer. Let them know we sent you 2 goalies, 1 mic, and of course, Extreme Discount Mattress. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. So if you need a new mattress, let them know 2 goalies, 1 mic sent you. They have 7 different Western New York locations and a new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga. And remember, you get a free mattress protector with any purchase of a mattress if you mention that you are a fan of 2 goalies, 1 mic. And of course, Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York. It's time to ditch the physical therapy clinics that treat you like just another number and step into a world where you're at the center of your care. Impulse is owned by Buffalo's only board-certified sports physical therapist. They work one-on-one with science-backed technology like 3D motion analysts and force plates to help you exceed your goals and become the healthiest, strongest version of yourself. So come experience the Impulse difference today and mention this for a discounted $77 visit. So thank you again to our sponsors. Hurls, your final thoughts, starting with your opinion on the goaltending situation and going on from there.
Yeah, I think hopefully they can get Alex Lyon as back quickly as possible, and no offense whatsoever to Colton Ellis. I think he's been great. I actually fully believe in him as an NHL goalie moving forward, and I'm happy he got this opportunity. But with the way that UPL has been playing as of late, and obviously the way Lyon was playing before he got hurt, I think the combination of Lyon and UPL gives this team the best chance to win for the rest of this season. So whether that's a trade piece or they figure something out, but I think that's what they do. And then, yeah, moving forward, 3 really tough games to end this week.
There's some division games too, 4-point swing games.
Back-to-back with Philadelphia and Montreal at home. All 3 are at home. But these next 2 games specifically are massive. You look at the results tonight. The Canadiens are up 2-0. Lightning and the Penguins are tied at 0. Lightning have won 10 straight, of course. Bruins and Red Wings. Bruins are up 1-0. The East is going to be a dogfight for the rest of the year. Look at the Leafs. Everyone thought the Leafs were down and out, and this might be the year that they miss the playoffs. And they've won, I think it is 4 straight and 8-0-2 in their last 10. They're starting to figure it out with this new iteration of their lineup without Mitch Marner. Every team has been really good. Look at the Montreal Canadiens, 7-2-1 in their last 10. The Red Wings, 7-2-1. Sabres, 8-2-0. A lot of teams that are competing at the moment in the Eastern Conference, in the Eastern Conference wildcard race, in the Atlantic Division. All very good. So not necessarily the best year, but hey, at least the Sabres are in it, currently in that second wildcard spot, and they need to do whatever they possibly can to stay consistent and fix that damn power play. Whatever.
We didn't even talk about the power play, man.
Whatever it may be. I don't know if Lindy's been asked about it, but Seth Appert and whoever's in charge of it need to try something different because it is so stagnant. It's the same things we've been saying over and over again. We don't need to beat a dead horse, but right now it's not working, and results are results. One in their last 21, and the one that they got went off Jason Zucker's back. So with the talent that they have and how good they are at 5-on-5 and how creative and how competitive they are, they need to do something to change it. And that's going to be a massive, massive deal in them breaking this drought and making the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, again, like you said, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but they have to stop just telegraphing that shot to Tage. It's getting overwhelmingly nauseating at this point. Just watching him with his stick up like this, waiting for that shot, and just like everybody knowing that's what, and they're just overloading that side. Like they have to figure something else out. I want to give another shout out to Paul. We did have a fan of the show come up to me today while I was at work, one of my accounts, and wanted to let me know how much he appreciates our show and watched us on. Very old-time hockey fan, watches and listens to a lot of old-time games. We had a long conversation today. So Paul, thank you for being a fan and watching and being a part of the show and commenting, I'm assuming sometimes in the chat. So thank you again. And I'll leave it at that. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night for another edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen. Hopefully we're talking about a Sabres win. And as always, go Sabres.